Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenjani class vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Mberi on the 28th of June. These are some of the top stories we'll be looking at. More than 14 months of war severely affects Sudan's health sector. Kenyan police face off against protesters a day after president's tax climb down. And Taiwan warns against travel to China after execution threat. We'll also be talking to Mike Sichula in Zambia, DSTV 285, GoTV25, 1up2.com, and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. Top stories after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
More than 14 months of war has severely affected Sudan's health sector, leaving many hospitals and medical facilities closed, damaged, or burnt. Many hospital buildings in the Sudanese city of Durman are deserted. Doctors warned that the very few operating facilities may close due to limited resources and patient overcrowding. Dr. Amar Moatasem, who works at a dialysis center in Kassala State, said that they are not able to follow the proper treatment protocol. One patient in the center, Awad Mohammed, was frustrated seeing no signs of a better future. Sudan plunged into chaos in April last year when simmering tensions between the country's military and a notorious paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, exploded into open fighting in the capital Khartoum and elsewhere. Now, Kenyan police fired tear gas at dozens of protesters and blocked off streets leading to the presidential palace yesterday as small demonstrations continued in several cities, even after the president bowed to pressure to withdraw a tax hike bill. Turnout was well down from the height of the mass rallies sparked by the bill over the past week. President William Ruto withdrew the legislation on Wednesday, a day after clashes killed at least 23 people and parliament was briefly stormed and set alight. Ruto is grappling with the most serious crisis of this two-year-old presidency as the youth-led protest movement has grown rapidly from online condemnations of the tax hikes into mass rallies demanding a political overhaul. Lacking a formal leadership structure, however, protest supporters were divided on how far to carry the demonstrations. Let's not be foolish as we fight for a better Kenya, Boniface Mwangi, a prominent social justice activist, said in an Instagram post. He voiced support for demonstrations on Thursday, but opposed calls to invade State House, the president's former offices and residence, a move that he said could spur more violence and be used to justify a crackdown. Now, Taiwan government raised its travel warning for China yesterday, telling its citizens not to go unless absolutely necessary, following a threat from Beijing last week to execute those deemed die-hard Taiwan independence supporters. Liang Wenxi, spokesperson for Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, told reporters the raised travel warning also applied to the Chinese-run cities of Hong Kong and Macau. China, which views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, has made no secret of its dislike of President Lai Ching-te, whom it views as a separatist, and staged 2 days of war games after he took office last month. Last week, announcing new legal guidelines, China threatened to execute Taiwan independent separatists in extreme cases, a further ramping up of tensions that drew condemnation from Lai and his government, as well as the United States. Now, Liang, making the announcement at a regular news conference in Taipei, said those guidelines represented a serious threat to the safety of Taiwanese visiting China, in addition to other measures China has been taking to strengthen its national security laws. Now, authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo have responded to a significant increase in pox cases and the emergence of a more virulent strain by approving the use of 2 new vaccines. Since the start of last year, Congo has reported over 20,000 cases of Mpox, with more than 1,000 deaths, primarily affecting children. Mpox, a viral infection spread through close contact, presents flu-like symptoms and can lead to pus-filled lesions, with severe cases proving fatal. The World Health Organization and scientists recently highlighted a new, more dangerous strain spreading in Congo's South Kivu province. In response, regulatory authorities have granted emergency use authorization for 2 vaccines. Now, Bolivian armed forces pulled back from the presidential palace in La Paz on Wednesday evening, and the general was arrested after President Luis Arce slammed a coup attempt against the government and called for international support. Earlier in the day, military units led by General Juan Jose Zuniga, recently stripped of his military command, had gathered in the central Plaza Murillo Square, home to the presidential palace and Congress. A Reuters witness saw an armored vehicle ram a door of the presidential palace and soldiers rush in. Today, the country is facing an attempted coup d'etat. Today, the country faces once again interest so that democracy in Bolivia is cut short, Arce said in comments from the presidential palace with armed soldiers outside. The Bolivian people are summoned today. We need the Bolivian people. A few hours later, a Reuters witness saw soldiers withdraw from the square and police take control of the plaza. Stay with Africa Good Morning as we talk to Mike Sichula after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
All right, we unfortunately can't get through to Mr. Mike Sichula. We do, however, have his stories stemming from Zambia. Now, there was a state visit from Mozambican President Filipe Nyusi. The visit of President Nyusi is at the invitation of President Hakainde Hichilema. Yesterday, the 2 heads of state held bilateral talks at State House focusing on matters of mutual interest between the 2 countries. President Nyusi will be signing a memorandum of understanding in tourism development, of border infrastructure and energy, among others. Now, Zambia Police Commissioner Mubita Nawa, this is Mike's second story, was among the nominees that lost the election at Valdense Urquiza in Brazil yesterday. Interpol's executive committee picks Mr. Urquiza as its proposed candidate to be the next Secretary General of the organization. Now, Simon Silomba of Misisi Compound is believed to have attempted to sell a girl at 150,000 kwacha. This was his daughter, from my understanding. This happened between March 19 and March 21, 2024 in Lusaka's Makeni Villa area. Silomba, a wheelbarrow pusher, took plea on Monday together with his co-accused Martin Sichalwe and Kennedy Sichiweza before Lusaka magistrate Mutinta Mwenya. Facts before the court are that Silomba with 2 others did obtain the named child for the purpose of exploitation. They actually, from my understanding, they attempted to traffic a 4-year-old girl child, so it was not his daughter. And in the last of Mike's stories, the University of Lusaka has won the Hague Inter-University debate that was held at The Hague, Netherlands. Unila School of Law lecturer Teresa Lumbamba Caputo says it is a huge achievement for the school, as it is the first university to produce an African champion in the competition. All right, so that's the story. Those have been the stories from Zambia. In Namibia, there have been a couple of developments as well. Yesterday, Toivo Njebela, Namibian Sun's editor, hosted a panel discussion on youth participation in elections, themed Youth as Voters and Contenders for Political Office. And this was at the International University of Management. Now watch as Toivo Njebela elaborated more on the topic of discussion.
Youth voting patterns in Namibia have been significant, or have seen significant changes since the country gained its independence in 1990. Initially, young voters tended to align with the political preferences of their parents and their families.
All right, certainly keep an eye on that. That's not going to be the last panel discussion. Now, a press conference regarding the world's largest floating book fair called Logos Hope took place yesterday at the governor's office in the Rongo region. Logos Hope is expected to arrive in Namibia today. Governor of the Rongo region, Andre Neville, shares more.
We're also happy to say that we have invited all schools, both regionally and nationally, to announce the visit of the Logos Hope and the activities that we would want the general public of Namibia to benefit from. And I'm very happy that we are receiving quite positive response. The team has engaged the churches, both in Wafas and Swakopmund, to also popularize the visit of Logos Hope and also to share some of the activities that we are going to have. We had a business engagement, both I think in Wafas line, to also get their buy-in, to ensure that we extend the involvement of the Logos Hope visit in different sectors. So we are happy that we are seeing that different activities are being arranged and organized, both in Swakop and Wafas Bay.
From Zambia and Namibia to the UN. Diagnosed with HIV at the age of 8, Brandon's medication suddenly stopped working when he was in high school. Eventually, he was diagnosed with drug-resistant HIV and transitioned to second-line treatment. Today, he is an advocate for timely diagnosis of infections as well as taking antimicrobials for the right cause. Antimicrobial resistance occurs when bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites no longer respond to antimicrobial medicines like antibiotics. The World Health Organization's AMR is Invisible, I Am Not campaign puts advocates like Brandon front and center to share their stories, raise awareness, and urge action to address AMR.
AMR is a phenomenon when medicines fail to treat infections. I have lived with HIV my whole life, but it's not HIV that I'm worried about. It's what follows when medicines that are supposed to treat infections fail to do so. I was diagnosed with HIV at the age of 8, and back then I was still a kid. I didn't know much about HIV, but what I remember is my mother telling me to take my pills every day, and I kept taking my pill every single day. When I got to high school now, I discovered that a lot of people didn't take HIV to be a normal thing. They didn't take it to be a normal infection. There was a lot of stigmatization and people would be insensitive when talking about this topic. So it was very uncomfortable. When I realized that the medicines that were supposed to treat me, the medicines that were supposed to make me feel better didn't work, I was so confused. I was thinking about it all the time and I started to isolate myself because honestly, what would you do if the medicines that are supposed to treat you stop working? I'm now a pharmacist and I've managed to learn a lot about AMR through my studies and the importance of medicines in our everyday life. It is important to share my story because I always think of the younger generations, the kids that are growing up just like me, Being little kids, they may not know much about the consequences of not taking their medicines or the consequences of AMR. I strongly feel that there is need for advocacy in terms of timely diagnosis of infections, as well as taking antibiotics or antimicrobials for the right cause, so that we don't end up in a situation where medicines fail to treat infections. AMR is happening now. It happened to me. It can happen to you. So there is need to raise awareness and let people know of this topic.
You're still with Africa. Good morning. Let's have a look at the weather predictions. Let's get into economic news. Drought-prone Namibia, currently facing its worst drought in over a century, will start constructing its long-awaited second desalination plant in January 2025, the Minister of Agriculture said. Approval for a second desalination plant with a capacity of about 20 million cubic meters has been granted, and the plant is expected to be commissioned by early 2027, said Karl Schlattwein, Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform. The project has been on the cards since 1998. Namibia, the world's third largest uranium producer, accounting for 11% of the global supply, is experiencing a surge in exploration activities and acquisitions in the uranium sector, increasing water demand. Companies from Australia, Canada and Russia are rushing for a share in Namibia's uranium industry, drawn by the country's rich potential and favorable market conditions. Critical minerals exploration and mining activities, as well as Namibia's ambitious green hydrogen plans targeting the production of 10 to 12 million metric tons of hydrogen equivalent per year by 2050, are also putting a strain on the country's underground water reservoirs. And the Mozambican government recognizes that debt servicing represents a source of pressure on public accounts, but plans to reduce the amount of debt in relation to gross domestic product by almost half by 2027. A downward trend in the public debt stock in relation to GDP is forecast for the next 3 years, combined with a positive primary balance, which will continue to strengthen the country's financial position. Let's have a look at the economic indicators just before Ari brings us the sport.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with T20 Cricket World Cup for men in West Indies. Good news for South Africa is that they through to the final, their first final ever. The previous 7 attempts in the semi-finals, they haven't made the final, but this time they beat Afghanistan by 9 wickets quite comprehensively in the semi-final, and it's South Africa that will play on Saturday in the final. It will be either against England or India. What happened in the game against Afghanistan was that Afghanistan won the toss, decided to bat first on a very difficult wicket and bowled out for just 56 runs. It was Marco Jansen that took 3 wickets for 16 runs in 3 overs, and also Tabez Shamsi that took also 3 wickets for 6 runs in just 1.5 overs. South Africa batted down the runs. They made 60 for the loss of just 1 wicket. It was Reza Hendricks with 29 and Aiden Markram 23. They were the mainstay for the South Africans in the semi-final. The final will be played in Barbados. More international cricket is women's cricket. It is New Zealand and England that play a 3-game series and is also 50-over international. It was England that won the first game against New Zealand. That was at Chester Street by 9 wickets, and New Zealand batting first 156 all out, and it was England that scored 157 for the loss of only 1 wicket. It was Tammy Beaumont that scored 76 unbeaten runs. The second ODI will be played on Sunday. On to soccer news. It's Euro 2024 that continues. It is a round of 16 that will continue this coming weekend, and it is games that was completed was Georgia that beat Portugal by 2-0. Quite a big surprise for Georgia. With that win, they through to the round of 16. A difficult game waiting for them on Sunday. They will play against Spain. Portugal also through to the next round, or the round of 16. They will play against Slovenia. Not a good result for Belgium in Group E. They drew with Ukraine. It was not all, well, it was a good result for Belgium in that they already through to the round of 16, but Ukraine, because of the result, out of the round of 16, and Belgium will play on Monday a tough game against France. 2 games on Saturday to look out for. It is Switzerland that play against Italy, and then also the host Germany that will play against Denmark. And to close off today's international sports news, it is tennis news. It is grass court tennis leading up to Wimbledon that will start on Monday. It is the Eastbourne Championship on the WTA. It is the Eastbourne International. It's the women's side of world tennis. And 2 players from Britain that's doing well. It is Emma Raducanu that beat the number 2 seed Jessica Pegula of the USA by 4-6, 7-6 and 7-5. That is in the round of 16. And also Katie Bilter, she beat Yelena Ostapenko, the 5th seed. She beat her by 6-4 and 7-5. Also through to the next round is Madison Keys. She's from the United States. She's the 4th seed, and she beat Alina Kalalina. She beat her by 7-6 and 6-1. That's the Eastbourne Tennis Championship played on grass. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning, not just today, but throughout the week. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, 1up2.com, and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. See you on Monday. Suresh Jaganaka.